let's take a look at our top selections for Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 6 at Keeneland on Saturday. We're kicking off a $300,000 guaranteed pool in the 50-cent pick 5. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 3 Woodford Stakes. $150,000 is the purse. We've got some hard knocking turf sprinters in here. Leinster loves Keeneland. He won the Shakertown last time out, missed a little bit of time, but he's always tough. Extravagant Kid, a hard hitter as well. This is an interesting race, Mike, where I think it's going to come down to pace and trip.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Dan. It's a very well-matched field, I think. Not that the favorites, the 1 and the 8, and not that they aren't rock solid. I think they both are, but it just feels like it's kind of a really well-matched field. And I just felt like whoever got the best trip might be the one to get there first.
We take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, and it's kind of surprising in a turf dash, but I agree with Timeform US that there's just not a lot of pace in here. The 4 Just might have a little bit of an advantage because he likes to be carving the fractions. He went pretty fast last time out at Churchill Downs, and if he gets to the lead, maybe he gets a little bit of brave. I think the question is, maybe he's a bit class compromised, but you'll know him early, and he'll probably be taking them into the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll try and make the lead in here. I mean, it feels like outside of him, most of the others, or several of the others anyway, are more tactical than, necessarily speed horses. I wonder if the 1 Extravagant Kid has any of his speed left in. It kind of feels like he doesn't. But there was a time when this horse could have made the lead in a race like this.
Certainly was, and I agree with you. It just doesn't seem the speed's there for Extravagant Kid. He still does show up every single time. I'm just wonder if he's at his best at Keeneland. You look at his lines at Keeneland, they're not as good as they were at Churchill Downs. I thought he ran fine last time out at Churchill, in-out trip, just got beaten by the rail-skimming Diamond Oops, who's a nice horse. And 2 back, he didn't break very well from the inside post, which he has to deal with once again. He altered course wide. He came with a run. He'll fire. I think 5-2 is a little bit light. I need him to drift, but he's a contender for me.
Yeah, he's definitely a contender in here. And you're right. Even though he seems to have lost his speed, he still shows up and runs. I thought his Shakertown 2 starts back was actually good. He just, for whatever reason, didn't break well that day. He was way too far out of it. But he ran on pretty well at the end of that race. And he ran well again last time, I thought.
Fast Boat got a beautiful ride by Adam Beskiza 2 starts back at Churchill Downs when he popped that 104 Beyer speed figure. He kind of got sandwiched out of the gate, but Beskiza then got him right to the rail in behind the leaders. He was able to split horses. A big hole opened up, and Fast Boat did the rest. He ran well last time out in the Shakertown as well. The Shakertown, though, was one of those real bunched up finishes.
It was. And, overall, he did run well in that race. But overall, I thought he got a perfectly fine trip as well. I mean, he was in between horses for basically the entire way. But he always had room to run. He was clear in the stretch, and he was doing his best. He just really couldn't get there. Overall, Dan, I don't have a real knock on this horse. I think he's a contender in here. I just couldn't talk myself into him.
Real news last time out was first-time blinkers, first-time gelding, caught a wet turf course at Churchill Downs, and I thought overall at 10-1, he had a pretty decent trip. He was able to save ground. He vacated the rail that Diamond Oops shot on through. He just wasn't good enough to compete with Extravagant Kid that day. I think Real News has run some nice races in the past. I wonder if he's up against it from a tactical standpoint.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, he has a little bit of speed. I don't know if he's fast enough to make, the lead in here or to get up close. We'll see. I wonder if he's good enough, Dan. He's run fine in several of his races. I thought his last 2, though, where they really tested him against better horses, to me, I just didn't think he was good enough either time.
We're expecting the number 4, Just Mike, to make the early lead. And the last time he made an uncontested lead was at the fairgrounds in February. He was 20-1, and he beat a couple of these horses just by taking it to them from the start. We could have a similar situation here, Mike, with Just Might, a horse that you might want to consider. Even though he has lots of seconds and thirds on his record, you might want to consider this horse in your exotics.
Yeah, the way the pace might shake out, it could work to his advantage. And, listen, that was certainly the case when he won that race at the fairgrounds back in February. He didn't even really have to send for the lead that day. He just came out of there showing a little speed, and they let him go. Chaos Theory was forward. He did not go on with it. Even Fast Boat was forward in that race. He did not go on with it. They just let this horse clear them. Then they couldn't catch him in the stretch. I'm not saying that he can't win this race, Dan, because he can. I just wonder if he doesn't get an absolute candy trip on the lead. I wonder if he's good enough to beat this field.
5 Chaos Theory was a real nice claim by Johnny Sadler. Took this horse for 62.5, freshened him, brought him to Southern California, scored in a graded stakes race. Let's watch the Green Flash handicap. He went off as the favorite in here. We see Chaos Theory. He's the 7, green cap, black blinkers, got some work to do with an eighth of a mile to go, but he's just resolute. He keeps grinding and grinding him down going 5. This was a likable effort.
Yeah, I mean, he was just very confidently ridden in that race. They bet him down to favoritism, and it's almost like Rispoli knew that he was going to win that race. He never really asked this horse to do anything until they got almost down to the 8th pole, and then he asked him, and this horse, I thought, won pretty easily at the end. It was sort of a similar situation to the race that Sadler claimed him out of, a very confident ride that day from Gaffaleone, and he closed that race down under very strong handling. Listen, I don't know, especially the field last time, it just didn't feel like a very good race. And this is going to be much tougher for this horse, but I don't know. I think Chaos Theory might be pretty good.
Chaps seems a little bit slow on paper. He won a Colonial 2 starts back, going 5.5. Last time out on the turf sprint, I thought he had a little bit of run. You know, Corey Lanerie likes to save some ground. He tried to save as much ground as possible. I thought he had a little bit of traffic issue. Maybe I don't think he would have won with a clean trip, but maybe he's a little closer.
Could have been closer. I agree with you. I didn't think he was going to win. And his races prior to that, you know, some of them are actually fine. I just don't think they make him good enough to beat this field.
Win Lion Win, the 7's 30-1 on the morning line, but you got to respect a 9-year-old. It's won 11 times in his career, and the last time he ran on turf, he made optional claimers pay at Evangeline. Let's watch that race back on June the 6th. He made a mid-move into contention. He has taken over the lead, and he's just better than these horses. Only an 84 Beyer speed figure for this Louisiana bred. He's a hard hitter that's caught a pretty tough spot.
He has. You know, it feels like he's probably in too tough here. They shipped him in for this race last year, and he was just no match. They're going to try it again this year. He's going to have to improve.
Leinster just missed in this race last year. He won the Shakertown back on July the 11th. Let's watch that race right now. We're going to see him. He got right up close to the pace on the outside. That's one of his great advantages. His tactical speed. He might get a similar trip here. Red silks outside, just outside of the horse with the white blinkers, and he's going to grind down the leaders late. Totally Boss is going to make a good late run at him, but he runs down a good horse and Bound for Nowhere.
Yeah, he ran well in this race. He did get a good trip, but he also ran very well. He's just a really nice horse, Dan. In a lot of ways, I think he is the horse to beat because his overall form is very solid and he's got great tactical speed.
Giant price on the 9 Citrus Burst coming off of a stakes placing around 2 turns at Gulfstream. Let's watch the Bears Den Stakes. Citrus Burst is down inside. He had a good trip. I just have a feeling his 7.5 furlongs is a little bit far for him, and it didn't help that he was chasing a very sharp horse on this day.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a race he was never going to win when you factor in the trip and who he was running against. He ran fine, all things considered. The cutback helps him. The question is, can he go with horses like this?
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 2 Woodford Stakes at Keeneland on Saturday. I really respect Leinster a lot. I think his tactical speed puts him in a great spot. There's a chance he's just going to get the jump on these closers turning for home. I'm hoping Extravagant Kid jumps up a little bit in price. He's too short on the morning line, but he just fires every single time. Again, we have the same super, different order. You're going with Chaos Theory. He kicked hard last time.
Yeah, I like his last couple of races. I think this is a good test for him. I think he still does have to prove that he's good enough to go with horses like this, but I'm hoping that he can do it. I like his last couple of races. I'm not against the 1 or the 8. I think they make a lot of sense in here, but I went with a better price.
5812 for Mike, 1825 for me. It's the Grade 2 Woodford Stakes. It's race number 6 on a star-studded card at Keeneland on Saturday. Best of luck.